Welcome back, guys. This is Dana from Masterland Investing. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys had an awesome week. What I want to talk about a little bit today is, I had somebody reach out to me last week, and the question was, where do I find land that I can buy? I've talked about it before. There's a few answers to that. I just created a video. I'm not sure if it's been posted yet and you've seen it, but I was talking about my own backyard and how I kind of missed the boat, and I'm going to rework this area. I'm going to try to do some, assign some contracts to some people and sell just under retail. My advice is, if you're starting out, check out your own backyard. I mean, get on Google Earth. If you're not super familiar and you haven't traveled around there very much and you've been tied up with your job and you don't get a chance to drive around, use Google Earth to your benefit and zoom in and look at the area, see if you see any platted areas. Maybe everything's acreage. Maybe you live in a metropolitan area. Expand that circumference a little bit and see what's around your area. I always recommend, if you can, even when you're starting out and you have no money, practice in your own backyard. It's a great spot to start. Another great area to start is obviously the sand states. Any state that's a tourist state, California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Florida. I believe Carolina's a pretty good state. Those are always have a lot of potential, only because they're high tourist states. A lot of people are retiring, moving to those states. Typically, a lot of those areas, the properties and these developments that haven't been fully developed are platted out. They're kind of cookie cutter. Those are great options. Other areas you can go online. There's areas like Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky. There's a bunch of areas that they predict that a lot of people want to retire in these areas. When you find areas that people want to retire in, and more so in these areas, a lot of people that I know in Florida want to retire in the Carolinas. When you hear that stuff, you say, aha, let me do a Google search, let me call some realtors and kind of do some homework on some farm areas and make a list of these areas that might have some potential. If you've been following along and you take the course, even if you've been watching the videos, you'll have a good idea how to determine the farm areas, do your due diligence, make the communication with the realtors, get somebody on your team so they're on the ground, they're the foot soldiers. That's a great option. I mean, the sand states are great because there's always a big draw of tourists. A lot of people retiring. West Virginia, Kentucky, the Carolinas, I hear it all the time. I'm moving to Carolina. Other great areas. It may be in New England, but I've said this before. I created another video about this, is that a lot of times it depends on the climate, what time of year it is. If you're trying to sell, or you're trying to, for instance, buy property in a northern state, a cold state, my recommendation would be to buy them in the winter and then sell them in the summer. If you're trying to buy property in the Midwest, it may not fluctuate as much because it doesn't get super cold possibly. California's a great state. It's a big sprawl of land, and I see investors buying out in the desert areas. There's no trees; they're just markers. I don't know what the speculation or the projection is where the growth is going. Eventually, I may not live long enough to see it, but they'll be building out there. I mean, California's just been expanding like wildfire. No pun intended, but it's the truth. Florida as well, like I've talked about earlier, Florida's all the way out to the Everglades. Florida's a big state. New Mexico. I have a couple of realtors I deal with in New Mexico, and surprisingly enough, there's areas, beautiful, rolling hills and trees and wonderful gated communities, and the numbers are high. Look around any metropolitan area and do that circumference outside that area. Look for platted areas. Because if you find a community that's platted out, and you can see all these rooftops, and then you see areas of grass, fields of grass, well, those are vacant lots. Then zoom in, figure out what that community is, get online, get a hold of the realtors. That's how you find the farm areas. Nothing's written in stone, guys. There's guys out there turning and burning, doing stuff in Colorado. Colorado isn't platted like Florida, but they perfect their niche in the market. They perfect their farm areas, and they know what type of property they can buy. They know the numbers. They understood the value of the deals. They've built up a team, obviously, and they can rock and roll these numbers. They move maybe 5-acre lots. So think about that, guys. I've worked areas in Florida that nobody wanted to buy, but because I could buy cheap enough, like I always say, there's an ask for every seat. And if you can buy it cheap enough, even in areas that people ain't buying, they'll buy. So remember that, guys. You know, it's all about being creative, using your resources. Google Earth is a free resource. Get on Google Earth and you can expand, you can go in, and you'll see these grids of properties. You'll see these communities, and you'll say, geez, it looks full of houses. It may be, but as you zoom in, you'll see, geez, every fourth house is a vacant lot. Well, that's opportunity. I don't give a damn if there's $60,000 a lot. Excuse me, that doesn't mean you got to spend any money. Excuse me, I just created a video on that. You can do assignable contracts. If you know the market's moving, then do like I teach you. Solicit the area, get the list of vacant landowners in that community, that gated community, that whole area. Be specific in what you ask for from the county, and then solicit them. Do a 90-day purchase agreement. Offer them a good number, but you'll have enough meat in the bone, and you can turn around once you get a signed purchase agreement and sell it to a wholesaler, another investor like you or I am. To a realtor. Realtors buy property. They're savvy. Like I've said, I've sold a lot of realtors property. They know builders. They know investors. Start with your realtors. Build that team. So, like I said, your backyard's a good place to start. Sand states are great places. There's many states on the East Coast going north, the Carolinas, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee. Start doing your homework. The mid-Colorado, great area. Mountain areas, think about what people want. Some people just want hunting camps. Some people want to go for fishing. So it doesn't have to be a perfectly gated, perfectly beautiful gated community all groomed. No. Once you target an area and you think you know the numbers and you can move some property, buy it here in Florida and then advertise it in Massachusetts or New York or Rhode Island in the winter when they're freezing their ass off and they go, Jesus, honey, it's about, look at this property. Oh my God, it's right by a lake and we can hunt, we can put our RV. Think about what I'm saying, guys. Always get creative with this thing. Don't sit there and go, oh, I can't sell no property. The smart people rock and roll. It's the 90-10 scenario. Believe me when I tell you guys. So that's the lesson for the day. Excuse me, a little tickle. Think outside the box. There's more than one farm area. Make a list of them and narrow down your numbers. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to have to cough here in a sec. But I appreciate your time. Go out there and inspire somebody if you can. Podcast on Saturday about noontime. We launch videos every Tuesday and Thursday. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Thank you guys again. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.